So I did what any logical person would do.
What did you do?
I made a podcast about it.
Why?
Because no matter who you are or where you're from, when you get dumped, everybody's talking about it.
Are they, bitch?
Famously dumped.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Famously Dumped. I'm your host, Morgan Miller, and this is the show where we talk exclusively about getting dumped, okay? About breakups that we did not choose. So welcome back. And as always, before every episode, we're going to go ahead and we're going to check in on me and my emotions and how I'm currently feeling. And you guys, today I'm feeling flooded, to be honest, with too many emotions to really nail down. Having to do with the world, having to do with my ex, having to do with my ex taking care of me in terms of the world. So pretty flooded at the moment. But I'm also, as always, grateful and excited because I have a very fun guest that's coming on the show that we're going to get to talk all about getting dumped. And man, she's got a hell of a story. I'm really excited to talk to her. You guys, our guest today is Carolyn Bergier, and she's a comedian and the co-host of the Diking Out podcast. And I'm so excited to have her. So, Brandon, let's get to it. Bring her in.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Oh, I'm okay. When you said that you were flooded, then my mind started spiraling. So I think we're both in a good place right now.
Before we get started on actually diving into it, we don't use the names of our exes here because it's not like a bashing of them. We don't want it's like very like the anonymity of the dump is very important. And then we're gonna get you an alias for your ex. Brandon, you pull up the slide. Ex-wise, are we talking ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend?
Ex-wife who was also an ex-girlfriend. So I guess we can go with Nora.
Nora. Great.
Yeah.
It was a popular name in 2019. Nora is your ex-wife. Okay, so we're talking
Nora.
ex-wife here.
Yes.
All right. So now we're going to do a little segment so we get started so we can kind of get an overview of what we're talking about. And this segment is called Dump Stats.
Dump stats. Dump stats. Dump stats. These are the dump stats.
So that's an original song that I wrote and performed because we don't have rights to music.
You know, I wish somebody played that at the moment I got dumped. I think that would make everyone feel better about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. Maybe I should sell it on iTunes. Is that what they do with music? So this is your baseball card that we're going to talk about. You look great on there.
Oh, thanks. That was me auditioning for Ellen DeGeneres' job. Yes.
Fantastic. Cool. All right. So this is called Dump Stats. We do this. I'm really into sports. I love statistics. And that's why we kind of like to just do a pretty broad overview of you. So these are the dump stats. We're going to go through these. Bing, bang, boom. Brandon, our first question is, how many times have you been dumped?
Twice.
Twice. Great.
Yes.
Okay. Twice, one being the ex-wife, which might count as double. Am I
Double
maybe?
dump.
Double up. Great. And have you ever been the person who dumped someone?
Yes. 1, 2. Also twice.
Also twice. Okay. So you're on par.
Yeah.
2 for 2. 2 on 2.
I
Clearly.
guess my wife right now is the tiebreaker, so that's making me nervous.
You're right. You're currently married now.
Yes, I'm rooting for death to be.
as the breakup.
Yeah.
That was the breakup. Yeah, we all I think wanted that to be the end of the breakup is death. Great, cool. So 2 times you've been dumped. You've dumped someone twice. And next stat is for this dump, how long ago did it happen?
This happened in 2016, so 4 years ago.
4 years ago. Okay.
Almost exactly 4 years ago, actually. Yeah.
Great. Okay. It's like you're like, I think 4, and then you're like, absolutely 4. I remember. The pain is
The anniversary is coming up. Yeah.
oh, oh boy.
Anniversary.
Okay, great. How long? So it happened in 2016. That was 4 years ago. And how old were you when you got broken up with?
So I would have been 31.
31. Okay, that's your girl's 31. Got dumped right before my birthday, so it's a hard age to be destroyed. Uh, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. Great.
just when you're
Okay.
finding your footing in life.
Yes, yes. It's like okay, now you're in your 30s and your soulmate's left. So, do you want kids? That's what it's for me. Great. So you were 31. How long were you and your ex-wife together?
We were together for a little over 7 years. So we were married for 5, together for 2 before that.
Married for 5 years. Wow. Okay. 7 years. Wow. Okay. Amazing. And then, well, how are you feeling emotionally about that particular breakup right now?
Oh, now I feel 100% great about it.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, so good about it. I mean, I still talk about it in therapy sometimes, but I mean, my life is great right now, and it wouldn't have been possible had I not been dumped, so just very grateful for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild how that changes because,
Yes.
yeah, I'm slowly getting there, but I'm still in the thing of like, how are you guys grateful? My life was destroyed.
Yeah.
Great. And then, so last dump stat is when Nora dumped you, did you go full psycho?
I did not go full psycho. I don't even think I went half psycho, but I
Okay.
did get very sad and very down. And I did some things that were like out of character for me. This is my divorce hair.
And
And I
that's not
kept it.
psycho.
I mean, I never dyed my hair before, and then I went into a play and I never thought I was like basic white girl who gets bangs or whatever after a breakup. And I went into a hair salon and I was like, yes, bleach it all and dye it pink.
Okay, great. So we're gonna do a recap of your stats really quick. You've been dumped twice. You've dumped 2 people. For this particular one, it happened in 2016. That was 4 years ago. You were 31 years old. You guys were together 7 full years. And you didn't go psycho, but you did get sad and do some insane things. To start, how did you and Nora meet?
Oh, this is a good one. We met on Craigslist.
Oh my god, a wife born from Craigslist? I'm obsessed.
How did I know this was gonna be doomed? No, we met on Craigslist in the strictly platonic section, and I was dating somebody else at the time. So I had just moved to a new city. I didn't really know anyone. I was having troubles making friends and was sick of just only having like my coworkers as a social option. So I was on Craigslist looking for furniture, and then I saw that there was a section that was strictly platonic. I'm like, can I make a friend through Craigslist? And mind you, at this time, Craigslist was very different. And
2016. Yeah.
yeah, in so I went there and there was somebody who posted that they were in a similar situation. They just moved to the city. They were also gay. And I had a girlfriend, so I was like, "Hey, just like looking for a friendship, someone to go out with, let's hang out." And we met up and there was no drama. We never fought. It felt just like a breath of fresh air to be in this relationship that felt very easy to be in and that I wasn't having to constantly fight for it.
Brandon, while we're still talking, will you look up when the Craigslist murders happened? Do you
I
know?
So the Craigslist murders, I'm trying to think. My friends knew him.
Oh no.
Yeah. And have you seen the Lifetime movie?
I have not.
Okay, so actually a very tragic story. Like
I'm sure.
yeah,
I'm just
I
wondering
probably can't get into it, but
if it's pre or post. I think probably pre murders.
so that would have been 2009.
Oh, 2009. So,
Okay, so 2007 is when I found her on Craigslist.
okay, great. So, yes,
Pre-murder.
pre-murder. Thank you, Brandon. Brandon knows how to use Google, and we love that. Okay, so this was pre-murder. So Craigslist was like a fine place. We met on Craigslist, a very funny place at this time, but it seems like normal to meet kind of there. What happened? How'd you get dumped? And how'd you handle it?
I want to be sensitive to this
Yes, of course.
with the details I'm giving out because
Of
it
course.
does involve the New York Women's Basketball League, the gay basketball league that you were in, Morgan. So now we've got it narrowed down to 200 queers in New York City.
Yeah. Now the world knows I was in the lesbian basketball league in New York. And honestly, I didn't get rookie of the year and I'm mad and I think it's because I didn't go out enough with the girls. I don't hold grudges. I'm not resentful at all.
So there were clues along the way.
Mhm.
She unfollowed me on Twitter. Uh
In the marriage?
in
Were
the
you
marriage.
were you cognizant of this during or was this in hindsight? Were you like, she phone followed me on Twitter, maybe this is bad? Or were you
Yeah, it happened during, but I didn't notice it for like 9 months or something. And then I finally noticed and I brought it up and she was like, "Yeah, that was like 9 months ago." And I'm like, "That's kind of aggressive." Like in this day and that's a very aggressive move to unfollow. I'm like, "Why would you?"
yeah.
And then she hated that I started doing comedy. Literally said, "Who would want to be married to a comedian?" And I said, "Do you remember in our vows we said we would support each other in all of our ambitions?" And she said, "We did." That was her response when I asked her that. So, yeah, I knew there was trouble there. Another giveaway was I used her computer to look up how to do something in the kitchen. I was cooking dinner. So I start Googling how to, and then one of the recent searches came up and it was how to ask for a divorce. So there's some foreshadowing
No.
going on here. Morgan, guess how long we were married after that, though? Like over
How
a year.
over a year?
Like I caught her Googling how to divorce me and she denied it.
So she asked for a divorce, and what happened? What happened, and how did you cope with that?
Yeah. And again, like it wasn't a shock, but it still felt like a shock. Like it's always like a long time coming, but then when it happens, it feels super sudden. So like the week before she actually asked to end the marriage, she went to stay at her sister's place and like took a couple of houseplants with her. And I was like, well, that was weird. Uh but again, like once they take the houseplants, it's like that they're leaving. They're leaving town. And I was so upset. I was so angry. I had never felt that much anger and pain ever. I had never cried so hard. I was crying at work a lot. There was like a porch at my office, and I would just go out there for like half an hour and cry every afternoon. I
Mm.
would just have to take like a lot of outside walks because I was crying so much. I was crying in conference rooms. I would stay up late at night because I couldn't stop crying. I wouldn't say suicidal, but I thought about suicide every day, and that was a new thing for me. You know, every time being on the elevated platform for the train, staring at the tracks and feeling, oh, that's warm and inviting, or
Yeah.
like looking over the railing and being like, I just wonder, like, because it's exhausting, right? Pain is exhausting. And then sometimes you're like, oh, there's an easy way to make this all end. It's not the right answer.
Yeah.
But it's like it's almost like a comforting fantasy to know that like death is an option, and which it shouldn't be. And I hope, like, I don't know, trigger warning, that's not what I told myself during that time. Was this is temporary and this will pass, and kept telling myself this is going to pass. Humans are resilient. Also resisting the urge to do unhealthy things. So like I drink wine. I don't have problems with alcohol. And I'm pretty good at moderating, but knowing how upset I was like, don't drink. Don't
Mhm.
drink when you're sad.
Wow.
That's not going to help anything. Uh, I resisted urges to text nasty things. Sometimes I would just write it down. So I did a lot of gay journaling of my feelings and like what I would say to Nora if I could, and like all the angry stuff. Um, that too, with like the thoughts of like being dead. It was like, would that hurt her? Would that make her feel something
Oh,
finally?
yeah.
Like how twisted and psycho, but also
So
natural,
twisted. Oh,
right?
thoughts of getting severely injured or something, so she
Yeah.
had to be in the hospital. Yeah.
Because all you want, even though it was the right thing, all I wanted was her to regret it. I wanted her to feel horrible. I wanted her to feel worse than me. I wanted her to feel like she just made the biggest mistake of her life. And in retrospect, it was the best thing. It wasn't a good marriage.
So it seems like you coped relatively well. I was definitely suicidal after I was this same crying like that. So it seems like you and like staying away from drinking is like amazing. I think if I hadn't been sober when this happened, me, I have a drug and alcohol problem, but
Yeah.
that's like a big one. Like stay away from that.
My mantra was like, you need to feel all of this, because if you repress anything you're feeling right now, the longer it's going to stay inside of you. So I just like let myself be miserable. I let myself cry all the time. I let myself scream into pillows. I so we were supposed to go on a vacation to Japan, and we both kind of knew when we were planning it that it probably wasn't going to happen
Mhm.
because everything was falling apart. So I made the decision, because I took the time off work, to take my mom on a trip to Germany. Uh, and nobody stopped me. And it wasn't until the like second to last day of the trip that I went to a bathhouse, like a Roman bathhouse where you get naked and you go through all these stations. And my mom wouldn't go with me because she's a prude, and which was probably good for me at the time. Like I didn't need any other like mental stress, but hanging out naked with my mom. So yeah, I went there and I felt like being submerged in water, and like hot water, and then thinking about everything. Like my body was calm from the water and the steam and whatever, and I was able to have all these like negative thoughts, all these sad thoughts, but my body was feeling okay. And I feel like that communication between my body and my brain is what healed me.
Wow.
Like I was like, oh, I'm able to process this without feeling like I want to choke on my own vomit,
Uh-huh.
and emerged from that feeling like a weight had been lifted off me. My perspective changed. I was like, I would say like 90% over it by
Wow.
that point. Yeah.
Wow. So you can like pinpoint the moment. Cause for me, it's been slow, but I couldn't, like, I stopped crying around 60 days, but I have no idea what happened. I think I just was like, but so interesting to like pinpoint a like bathhouse moment.
Yeah, it was something about like being away, being out of my apartment, and then coming back to New York with a little bit of a spring in my step and feeling like, all right, life, like starting a new chapter, the page is empty.
Yeah.
I just have to think about myself and can do whatever I want to do, and not let the weight of this not great relationship weigh me down anymore, and not have to feel guilt, or not have to feel like I'm not enough, or I'm bad, or I'm falling short.
Let's just wrap it. Like, do you have one thing that you say would be overall advice for someone who's been, especially in a marriage, going through a divorce or that has been broken up with? Whoa, hold on 1 second. Hi, before we get to the overall advice, my name is Morgan Miller. You've just been watching me this whole time. I'm the host of Famously Dumped, and I've got a couple of things I got to tell you before we finish up the episode.
One, we have an email account, famouslydumped@gmail.com, where you can email me. Maybe you have comments, questions for our guests, questions for me. Maybe you have advice for our listeners, or maybe you have a story about getting dumped that you want to tell me about. So please email me there. I'd love to hear from you, and we'll put it on the podcast. Two, you can donate to the show, which is great. How can you donate? At our Venmo, which is famously_dumped, or you can go on over to my Patreon account, which is patreon.com/MorganMiller1717. Over on my Patreon will live bonus episodes, uncut episodes, and other comedy material that I'm coming out with that will strictly be on Patreon, okay? So head on over there. And finally, don't forget to follow me on social media. Yes, I'm doing a social media plug. Come on, it's 2021. Let's get to it. My social media is MorganMiller17 across the board. And also, I'm on TikTok. Yes, I'm in my 30s. I have TikTok. I kind of blew up over there. So go check me out. That's Morgan Miller Talks, TOKS. And that's about it. You guys, let's get back to the episode. Enough for me. Bring us on back.
Yeah, I mean, I will, like, I do give myself a lot of credit for the way I handled it. 'Cause I feel like I tried so hard to keep it together, and I think that that's just how I am. I don't like to feel like out of control emotionally, but I had to let myself be a little bit out of control. So I think um just like any thoughts you get in your head that might be unhealthy, like I want to die, or I want to um like ruin their life in a certain way or whatever, just keep worrying, and that you have all the time to do that later when you're more clear-headed, if that's really what you want down the line. I wouldn't recommend it, but to know that like any thoughts you have, and that's why like dyeing your hair pink or bleaching it or getting weird bangs, like that's, I think, a great way to have a change or to do something that feels drastic that will not like hurt other people
Yeah.
and yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So accepting the feelings as they come, but not acting on them.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think being 30 in your 30s, it is also like somehow you're able to cope better. Like had this happen, I mean, I'd been broken up with before in my 20s, but like chaos ensued after that. So
Yeah.
there's something about like being in your 30s, and for me being sober, that was like, okay, let them come, but don't act on them. That was like, I don't know how I did it because I was so thick in the despair. But yeah, I mean, great. That's great advice. So we're gonna get you out of here, but before we do two pretty very fun segments. The first one is Brandon.
And now, time for horoscopes.
Swaying to that nice jingle.
There we go. Me again. So this is very gay, and we can do it. So we are gonna see if you guys were doomed from the start, you and Nora, to see what your signs were, and see if they were compatible at all. You probably already know, but for the
I know.
viewers, we're gonna just go ahead and do it. So what was your sign? You're a Capricorn, and what was Nora's?
Cancer.
Cancer. Great. Oh boy, have I dated a Cancer. So what we're gonna do is go to the most reputable place to learn about horoscopes, and that is google.com. Not sponsored yet. So Brandon, just go ahead and Google Capricorn and Cancer love compatibility. And we just go ahead and we click on the first arrow because that one is really, that's the true one. So it says Capricorn can soften up and balance ambition with a full social family life, with a cozy Cancer in their lives. And then we go on, because Cancer and Capricorn are cardinal signs, there's a risk of two alphas clashing. So is that how it felt?
I don't think so. Being with the Cancer felt like, oh, this is a great match. And yeah, I don't know. I felt like based on astrology had me thinking this was a good choice to make.
Wow. Well, google.com astrology says was kind of not going to work out. too risky. So there you go. So the stars kind of said, we can't, this isn't going to work. But hindsight 2020, our last segment is Brandon.
Yes, honey. Yes.
I don't get how this one works.
So this is 3 compliments for Morgan. So this is when you give me 3 compliments so I don't feel so shitty about my life and so depressed about my breakup, and then we get you out of here.
Okay. I mean, I feel like everyone's going to give you this compliment, but you're hilarious. The episode you did of Diking Out is one of my favorite episodes. And I just find you so funny. And even before we knew each other, I would see you on stage at UCB. Sorry. I would see you on stage at UCB, and just you were so memorable and so funny on stage. So that was great. You're also just super approachable and nice. Like, I remember once we went to an open mic together and we had never really talked much before, and we talked for maybe like 5 minutes or something walking to the train afterwards, and you just seemed like so cool. And normally I didn't like talking to comedians at mics. Like, usually I avoid them, and I was like, oh, that was really lovely, I should do that more often. And Morgan seems like a super cool person. And then third compliment, I gotta tell you, you're a babe.
There we are. There we are. There we are. Those are amazing. This is very selfish part of the show that afterwards I always am a little bit like, this was maybe too much, but it does make me feel great. So there we have it. So thank you. That was so sweet. I also find you to be so funny, and it's really been great getting to know you. I loved doing your podcast. Speaking of, before we go, where can everyone find you on social media, and what are you working on that we should be on the lookout for?
I mean, with everything going on right now, Diking Out has become my life. So at Diking Out on all social media handles, and we've got some amazing guests that we've had recently, including like Desiree Akhavan, Mae Martin, just some really talented, amazing people having funny and important conversations about queer culture and life. And you can also follow me at TGI Carolyn, and that's where I post about all my other comedy stuff that I'm doing and entering the Zoom comedy world and all that.
Awesome. Amazing. Well, we're going to check you out there. Of course, I'm going to promote Diking Out. I loved it. I love doing it. It's such a great podcast. Really like safe queer space. And I love that you're still doing it. So great. So thank you for sharing such a wonderful story and for being a seriously like pillar of strength in an example of how to fucking handle a divorce. Pretty good. You wanted to die, but you didn't. And here we are, and you're grateful that it happened.
So grateful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, my life couldn't be better. So I recommend getting dumped. I do.
Okay, good. Great. Awesome. Well, thank you, Carolyn, and we'll see you soon. Take care of yourself, okay?
Thank you. Bye.
Great. That's it, you guys. That's another episode of Famously Dumped. Carolyn's great and honestly handled that very well. So we learned a lot from her. I'm so glad she was able to join us. Thank you guys so much for joining us on Famously Dumped, and I'll go ahead and see you guys next time. Brandon, take us out with a song of your choice.
Morgan, I told you this a million times. We don't have the rights to any music.
Famously dumped.